Good morning, everyone. Louder. Good morning. Yeah. So we have three amazing panelists here from three different worlds of business. One is from AI, one is from mental health, and the one is from handlooms. So none of these have connections. Let us see how the panel goes. First, please introduce yourselves. We'll be glad to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is KAVEA, and I'm the co-founder of KALANECA House of Handloom. Now, KALANECA comes, in fact, from two words. Kala, which means the art and craft. Neka comes from the Arabic word, which means marriage. I'm from Kakinada, Andhra Pradesh, so I specifically work with the UPPADA weavers, and our mission intended to revive the entire UPPADA village, and we do that by marrying the art forms on the 6 yards. So that's what I do, and KALANECA House of Handloom, that's my brand. We work not with 68, but with more than 135 weavers on across 160 looms, and it's been more than 10 years we've been doing that, so here we are.
Hi, my name is YASHILA. I'm the founder of StarFlux AI. I am previous as our MC very politely introduced. I went to Berkeley and I went to Cambridge, and across both of them, my main passion has been for AI systems and human-centered AI systems. I strongly believe in the necessity for AI safety, and my startup works in AI evaluation and AI simulation to understand how AI systems work under a variety of different environments and setups. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. It'll be great to talk about the next big thing.
Hi, I'm SANIYA. I'm the founder and CEO of goodmind.app. We are a community-driven mental wellness platform working towards normalizing conversations around mental health, also by leveraging technology into this space for more than 5 years now. We work very closely with schools, corporates, and currently we are also working with the government to facilitate mental health support in Tier 2 and Tier 3 regions. So my photo and everything belongs to creating that accessible and affordable mental health support to people who needs us.
Let's start with SANIYA. So what do you think about AI on mental health? I mean, you have been using AI within your app or technology to make sure that the mental health reaches the grassroots level. But what do you think? How is it affecting the mental health of people? I see even fifth graders working on ChatGPT, asking questions. I mean, they're not even thinking about anything right nowadays. So what do you think? How is it affecting the mental health of kids per se and overall?
AI definitely is solving a lot of problems these days with respect to different things. In our perspective, in our company, we have an AI-powered product called as Tara. Tara is your AI-powered companion, which is there for you to give you that emotional support when you have nobody else. So the major reason for which we had to create Tara was for two things. Therapy is very, very expensive. And the second thing, not everybody is available 24/7, and you badly want, during those times at night, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the night, you badly want somebody to talk to, right? That is where Tara comes into the picture, and you can vent out, you can share anything, and it's designed that way, which can help you understand the culture. It can also understand the cultural aspects of your everyday lives, right? It understands, it learns from you. So that's how we are leveraging technology. But again, I would want to say this point, we have created Tara not to replace a therapist, but to complement a therapist. That is the major thing. So when it comes to AI, it's definitely helpful. But like everybody says, if you have a knife, you either use it to cut an apple or kill people, right? So, but that depends on the usage, if you're leveraging AI. But when it comes to mental health and healthcare technology, AI has definitely been very helpful for us, especially because 70% of the Gen Zs prefer talking to ChatGPT than a person. 70%, right? That's a huge number. People are not comfortable talking to human beings. The culture is changing, everything is changing, but that doesn't mean AI can take over your human emotions. Emotions are very important. Although AI is there to provide you that emotional support, you definitely need a friend who can talk to you, who can say that I'm there with you. That human support is more important, is what I feel.
So follow-on question. I used to use ChatGPT for a good 2 years under one account. And now team started using, so I just moved from one account to the other. And the new account started behaving like a memory loss patient. Now it doesn't know anything about it. So my previous ChatGPT account knew everything about me. So whenever I ask something, it has the ready answer for every single thing that I have been having in my life. But the new ChatGPT doesn't know anything about me. So what does your Tara do? I mean, if I change the account, would it carry all the memories with it, or is it going to be a new thing?
No, when you log into Tara, when you start talking, it stores the memory. When you can recall the conversation that you have. But then if you change your account, then yes, there are chances of Tara, you'll have to, because there's one specific ID for which you're training Tara to adopt your culture, adopt your everyday life, right? But when you change the ID, AI, as much as you call it a good technology-driven thing, but then you need human intelligence as well. So Tara cannot remember if you change the ID, but then yes, if you'll have your own ID, it understands you as a person and recommends and provides you suggestions, tips, tools accordingly.
YASHILA, the next question is to you. You have been driving the AI revolution, you have been in that. I see a lot of conversations happening on WhatsApp also are ChatGPT generated. So I see my colleagues sending me ChatGPT generated responses to my questions. So where do you think is the world going?
I mean, I think in this sense, it kind of depends on how people are using ChatGPT. I'm not going to lie, I use it quite frequently, but not to generate whole responses to individuals. I think that a lot of these technologies are very, very helpful because they've essentially read so much data and they've seen so much text that they know like the most eloquent way to say something. If you already know what you're going to say and then you run it through ChatGPT to make it sound nicer, I think that this is genuinely a good tool to like kind of make everybody like have like an equal footing in terms of having a conversation with other people. I've seen a lot of founders use this to essentially go and respond to in-mail from investors or go reach out to investors, make cold emails to like different customers and stuff. And this gives them the opportunity to be able to come up with like a good online presence without necessarily having like the same vernacular as the people that they're talking to. And I think in this sense it makes things like much more democratic because like people will be able to like speak to other people and be respected for their ideas as opposed to the way that they speak. But I also agree that like over-reliance on these technologies is kind of like using a cheat sheet on an exam. At some point you're just not going to remember what you actually learned in the class. Like this is, and to be fair, this is like an age-old argument. Like back when Socrates was alive, he had like a whole diatribe on like why people shouldn't learn how to write because this is going to make them forget things. This is not true. Like we learned how to write and we were able to have like really decent discourse like through writing because it's an accessory to our ability to reason. And the same will be true of ChatGPT. It's going to act as a way for us to like regularize our thoughts and think from a more abstract perspective. But we all have to learn how to do so as opposed to over-relying on it. And this is like a cultural thing that we're going to have to come up with in the next few years.
I've seen a founder responding to an email asking somebody, one of my friends, they got an email from his subordinates and he just replied, please humanize this email. So it is now at that stage. I'm not sure where it is going. So coming to you, KAVEA. So you are in two different worlds. I mean, AI is doing something else and you are right on the ground with the viewers. How do you think AI is impacting the lives of the viewers? Is there something called AI component with viewers?
That's a lovely question because in a way I'm actually very far away from tech, though I come from tech background myself. But before I just answer that question directly, I wanted to ask the audience here, according to you, in India, which is the largest employing industry, according to you? Which industry employs the highest number of people in India, according to you? Any guesses? Any guesses?
Farming?
Farming. Agriculture. So the number one employer in India actually is agriculture. And you know what number two is? Textiles. So I'm actually part of the industry that is employing, I would say, the second highest employer. And textiles itself, when I talk about the number, it's contributing to 3.5 million. That's the contribution we're talking about. Now let me come to the AI bit. Let me come to the tech. The problem is, first, before I come to that, I definitely want to say this point. I want to thank Kiran and the August Fest, and I'll tell you why. When Kiran called me up saying, KAVEA, we need you for this panel, and it's called The Next Big Thing, by then, Prada did not release their chappals. They did not. And when Prada released their chappals, that's when we Indians decided to say, "Arey, ye to Kolhapuri chappal hai bhai." And when I looked at the topic, I said, Kiran, you nailed it. Heritage is the next big thing. Going back to the roots will be the next big thing. Because what's going to happen is we will be playing simultaneously. On one side, tech will enable, and I'll give you an example. Me and my weavers, when we used to weave, especially the UPPADA jamdanis, which has a beautiful GI tag, when we used to weave, when we would sit to weave, it would be on a graph, it would be on a piece of paper. The piece of paper would come, my weavers would be like, Ammagaru, ippudu ee paper vachindi kada, ippudu oka 30 rojulu padtayi. It'll take 30 days to just weave one sari, because it's that intricate. Then we bring in AutoCAD. We bring in AutoCAD so that the design comes down, the design process comes down, but the weaving will happen with hands. I do not work with machines, I work with people. So AI will not take over, but the good news for me is handloom and heritage is the only industry which will be AI insulate. But I will use AI to enable so that my weavers will continue weaving and we'll have AI to design. And I think that will then speed up the process of sending these designs abroad so that they can say this has come from India and from UPPADA, from Andhra or from Telangana, than coming up with another chappal and costing it 2.2 lakhs and then coming to Kolhapur and saying, oh, this looks incredible. It looks like our design. So my work, honestly, SRINIVAS, is more to do about how much of tech can I bring so that this aspect, the handmade aspect, the heritage aspect, can continue to shine. Now, we've been doing it for 10 years, but we are not a fast fashion brand. We have not been in the marketplace. You'll not find us on Myntra, Meesho, nothing. Where you'll find us is not only amongst the elite, but the whole point is to ensure that luxury is not just for Paris or Milan. Luxury is India. If politics, if AI is hard power, heritage and luxury of India will be the soft power. That's going to take over the world. That will get us to become the third largest economy. That's my crystal ball gazing. That's what I'm saying it, yeah.
Nice. I had a conversation with one of the CEOs of the largest retail in India. He was mentioning the same. AI is taking away all the jobs. Now we have to go back to farming. So there is nothing much to do on the tech side because AI agents or agentic AI is handling most of the work. So probably we should go back to the farming is what he was mentioning on the other day. Right. So coming to SANIYA. So what do you think of your mental health app penetration to the grassroots? Let's say weavers. Now, humanly it is not possible to go to every weaver and talk to them because the handloom weavers are one of the worst hit guys because of the power looms. Right. So they also go through multiple levels of stress, multiple levels of depression. Do you think your app or your mental health illness tech startup can go to the grassroots levels due to AI, with the help of AI?
The product that we have designed, Tara, is designed as per cultural aspects. So when it comes to AI, most of the AI bots are trained based on the Western data, right? It fails to understand the terms. Our way of expressing emotions is very different when compared to the Western world. AI can understand the words, terms like anxiety, depression, stress, but our cultural way of saying I'm anxious is very different. I might say, kaisa kaisa ke chhora. That's very different for AI, right? So this is where we are training AI to understand the cultural aspects of our own country. So that is the major reason we have come up with an initiative called Telangana Mental Wellness Awareness Yatra, wherein we are reaching out to Tier 2 and Tier 3 districts, providing the accessible support. Also with human counseling, we are training people over there to act them as first responders, giving them a mental health first aid training to understand signs and symptoms. So all this contributes towards making mental health support accessible in Tier 2 and Tier 3 regions. And when it comes to weavers, and like you mentioned, yes, Tara can definitely understand, and it currently has 3 languages, Hindi, Telugu and English. So that's the best part. And the major thing is it talks like a human being. So the UI of Tara is designed in such a way that it feels like you're talking over a call to a human being, right? That is the major thing. And yes, it needs quite some learnings. It needs quite some time to understand you in a more better way, but it's acceptable and applicable for everybody. So we have multiple models, and that's how we have been training it so far. And
so with the intersection of mental health plus AI, is there anything else that you think would be the next big thing in your mental health sector? So now we are in the intersection of mental health and AI. Do you think, is there anything else that could revolutionize your entire mental health sector?
Currently, it's AI. In the future, if any other technology comes up, we never know. But AI has been playing a major role right now to help us reduce the cost of the therapy, but then as much as, no matter what technology will come into the mental health field, human therapy and human counseling is always preferred. But due to the expensive therapy and lack of accessibility towards mental health support, that is where technology can fill up that gap. But currently it's AI. So,
Yashila, you've been sailing the AI boat. Where do you think AI would take us in the next 3 years, or rather 5 years from now?
I think that there are a lot of different places where AI can take us. I think that it kind of depends on like the field and what impact like you'd really be looking at. But it's on so many different levels. Like on a physical level, there are like significantly better robotic systems today than there were even like anywhere in the last. Like the quality of the AIs that are there now for robotics is considerably better than even in like the last like 5 years or so, like everything coming up to that point. Because now we have systems that don't just think about things in terms of data, they have like almost like a intuitive understanding of like how the world works, like how physical systems work, which allows them to also reason using like these LLMs like thinking capacity to reason about how to move things around and how to make decisions. And so if you look at how like Google, Meta, NVIDIA have been making like new robotic systems, they aren't quite ready to actually be deployed in terms of doing things like agriculture, doing things like housework, or doing things in like factories and for machinery. But they are getting to the point where you can have like a system that within a couple of days is trained to actually be able to walk properly, that's able to pick up a glass, that's able to put away a glass. All of these things which when I was in college, they told us were impossible for, like this is like a paradox actually, that things that seem simple to us, like simple sorting tasks, simple things like being able to put away like laundry, being able to fold laundry, put it away, being able to put away dishes, is like now, it was not possible then by robotic systems, by AI systems, even though highly complex tasks were. Whereas on the other hand, like this is something that humans can do. But now that we have access to a lot of these transformer systems, like, and we have data to train them, and we have been training them, we are now able to do these things maybe over the next 15 years, although maybe not over the next 5. And that kind of presents like an interesting conundrum of like, what does labor mean if we don't need physical labor in the same way that we did before? And where is this going to leave us as like a society if like a lot of like these simple tasks like no longer need to be done by people? If we have like the money to buy the robots, right? And yet on the other hand, like there's lots of other layers to this in terms of doing a lot of like office work. Many of these tasks are in part, not fully, but in part you can automate many of the things around like scheduling calls, sending emails, doing like simple tasks for coming up with presentations, for coming up with narratives for presentations. They will often be even more persuasive than people are. And you can also take this to the next level where when you're doing coding, when you're architecting systems, when you're building out like engineering things, all of like the actual like rote labor that is required to make a lot of these systems can be done by AI, at least in part, with direction, with like a person who's directing it. And I think in this sense, like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in order to make sure that these AI systems are working properly, because you will never be able to scale them unless they have reliability, which is in part why I made the company that I'm working on right now, is that we're creating like evaluation systems so that we can actually say with a certain level of certainty that this AI system works. How we can improve it. Whether if we swap out different parts that it is actually a better system. We can also create like policies around how agents interact with each other to prevent like cascading failures across different systems. But there's a lot to be said in terms of where AI can take us as a society. Because in this case, like it'll kind of relieve a lot of the burden that is there with like not knowing whether there is a sufficient amount of labor to do a particular thing. When it comes to things like healthcare, this can offer so much opportunity for people to have access to like proper diagnostic services. That in and of itself, I think, is actually worthwhile for this like technology to exist, even if we don't have a lot of like the physical AI systems ready in the next 30 years. And it also gives us some time to plan around, once we have these systems in aging populations like in the West, how are we going to deal with many of like the labor shortages that we have? And at the same time, in places like India, how can we create much bigger companies, like much bigger industries, because we have the ability to now adjust as it's coming out as a technology. And India is a very, very entrepreneurial country. I think that like this is one of the biggest things that my mom has taught me, is that like in India, in the United States, people will say that things happen when they happen, but here people will make things happen for themselves. And so, I don't know, I'm very excited to see where things go.
Wonderful. So KAVEA, I have a layman question for you. So I have been seeing a lot of handloom weavers committing suicide because of the power looms that are there. Why not transform this handloom weavers into power? Is it just the finance part of it, or is it the skilling part of it? If skilling is the problem, can AI solve it?
I think that's a really brilliant question. I'll tell you why. Because, so if you look at Surat, Surat is your textile market, your textile and your diamond market. So Surat is becoming a complete textile hub. That means, yes, it will be inundated with a lot of machines. Machines will make your sarees. I'll put sari as a context over here. It can be any kind of fabric for that matter. Now, on one side so that's your power loom. Anything that's being made by a machine is your power loom. Now, anything that is completely handmade, handcrafted. Now, this is where I'll reverse question you, SRINIVAS. If you look at the weavers as engineers, would you want machines to do the answers or code the answers, or would you want humans to come up with their own intelligence? What would you look at?
If it is 2025 August, probably I'll still rely on humans.
Still, right? So exactly my point is, when you look at power loom, your power loom is a Xerox machine. I put a design, I'll give a Xerox of 100 sarees. For example, again, I'm talking about sarees here. It can be a shirt, it can be anything, it can be even a runner. It can be anything on the ground. For me, a power loom machine, and that's my take, is a Xerox machine that will probably give out the 100 same sarees. And in an age of, again, 2025 August, where everybody wants to wear their power, wants to wear their individuality, what am I going to do with that Xerox machine? Number one. Second, where is the story? So I don't know how many of you know this. I'm not wearing an outfit. I'm actually wearing a sari. And this turned out to be my biggest networking hack. That's right. I'm not really as vocal when I go in groups. But people come and they say, hey, hi. I just want to tell you this is such a lovely outfit. And then I tell them, hey, hi. This is, by the way, a sari. Now you tell me, what did I do? I built a human connection. Now I'll bring you the story. And now I'll tell you, go back to India. Now I'll tell you, go back to roots. You tell me, when somebody wears this nice sari, hey, that's a nice sari, conversation gets over. Where is it from? Who made it? How many hours did it take? Where is all that storytelling happening? In an age when all the leaders are focusing on storytelling, the sari will do the storytelling. Heritage will do. So your question is absolutely right. I will, what in my power, whatever it happens, I will ensure that none of my weavers ever pick machines. And I'll give you an example. Again, why do I come back to UPPADA? Because that's a village I'm trying to revive. You can probably machinize Kanjivarams. You have machine Banarasis. You can never make a machine-made UPPADA because the technique itself is different. What is UPPADA sari? Lightweight, luxury. No machine can replicate that. And I feel lucky about it. But my whole point is that if you can make everything machine, then there is no more storytelling. There's no more conversations happening. And then at the same time, it's just mechanical. So yes, weavers are unhappy because unfortunately, weavers' kids are moving to IT jobs. Why? Because they're high paying. And that's when we come into the picture, corporatize it and say, you know what? We'll come into the picture, get your kids to start weaving. These kids have been weaving since they were 5. They know the art and craft. And by 18, 20, they say, hey, I'm not making enough. I'll go pick an IT job. So that's why we come in and say, no, we'll continue weaving. I'll bring you better designs. I'll bring you better clients. I'll bring you better corporatized structure. And now they'll stay back. My master weaver is a BSc gold medalist. And he had a high-paying job. He was getting paid lakhs a month. He did that for just 6 months. And he said, Ma'am Garu, ippudu vachesdam. For the last 5 years, he's been weaving my sarees. My recent saree, which we were discussing, it's called the Queen's Gambit, where we put the entire chess and the queen on the saree. It was made by him for about 65 days. That was auctioned at the chess gala in US. Now you tell me, why would I want a power loom to do that when there's no story, when it's just another saree, another fabric, another piece of clothing? India's heritage is not another piece of clothing. India's heritage is a story and a legacy that will continue. So if you ask me, no, there will be no room. There will be room for power looms for people who want affordable fashion. Yes, there should be. Machines will be there, but these craftsmen, these engineers, these weavers will be there because that's where the story continues. Yes, it might sound very philosophical what I'm saying, but if I meet you one-on-one, I'll give you the numbers as well. You'll be mind blown.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.